Today on the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement, we're going to discuss why so many pre-retirees and retirees are lost when it comes to building a game plan for their retirement. And on Coach's Corner today, we're going to discuss some obstacles to overcome in retirement planning. And in our Chalk Talk segment today, we're going to show you how to overcome those obstacles by using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. So sit back, relax, and learn. The Chad Slagle Show starts now. I'm Chad Slagle. I believe financial planning is about educating people and empowering them to make better decisions with their hard-earned dollars. Coaching gives me satisfaction from watching a player succeed and get better. You need an experienced team around you. The best coaches have great assistant coaches. I have brought a lot of the techniques and structure I learned from playing and coaching football and apply them to the world of investing. My goal now is to coach as many individuals and families as I can on how to get successfully to and through retirement. Welcome into the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm the coach, Chad Slagle, here with my colleague, Chad Tobin. And today on the Clipboard segment, we're going to discuss why so many pre-retirees and retirees are lost when it comes to building a game plan for their retirement, when it comes to building a game plan for your retirement. And the reason we often feel lost is because we do not have direction or know where to turn. You know, I was a kid growing up in Central Illinois, Chad. The one big trip that we took every summer was to drive to St. Louis, and of course we'd hit the Farmers Market in Soulard, and of course to watch the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. So we would hop in the station wagon, my dad would put in his Alabama tape in the cassette player, and off we would go. Now this was back in the early 80s, of course, the days of Whitey Ball with Ozzie Smith and Willie McGee, so there was no GPS. Now my parents did have a map, however, my dad wasn't very good at taking directions from my mom, as most men are not. So of course we would get lost along the way, and he would have to stop at multiple gas stations along the way to ask for directions. Eventually we made it, but it was always an adventure. Today, of course, it's a lot easier. We have interstates with multiple signs that guide you, and we have GPS systems in our cars or on our phones that talk to us and tell us step by step, turn by turn, how to get to your destination. It's the same way today when it comes to retirement planning. It should not be overwhelming. It shouldn't be, you shouldn't get lost. If you have an advisor or a coach to lead you, and if you have a system to guide you.
You know, and Chad, that's one of the biggest reasons that we've developed kind of what we call our four-step financial GPS, that guided planning system. So in retirement, when you're scattered and you have things all over the place and you feel like, you know, maybe it's very tough to kind of get through retirement, the guided planning system allows you to kind of keep it simple and have a plan in place to get you through.
Especially, Chad, in these uncertain times that we have right now.
Absolutely.
You know, folks, we talk about that. You know, the past few months, of course, have been unprecedented, from a global pandemic sparking a historic market crash to government-mandated stay-at-home orders. You can't leave. No one would have envisioned a time quite like this. If you're wondering what to do, you're not alone. Trying to make sense of your financial future and planning for retirement can be a very daunting and tricky task today if you're trying to do it alone. At the end of the show today, though, we're going to show you some upcoming events that you can attend in your area if you are retired or plan to retire in the next 3 to 5 years. And you will not want to miss it. These events are designed to empower you to take control of your financial future. And again, as I mentioned, in these unprecedented times. And when we return on the Coach's Corner, we're really going to jump into the show and we're going to discuss some obstacles to overcome when it comes to retirement planning and planning for the days after work. So stay with us. We'll be right back. The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your money than it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a four-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back to the Chad Slagle Show, coaching you to and through retirement. I'm back here with my colleague Chad Tobin, and today on the Coach's Corner, we're going to discuss some obstacles to overcome when it comes to retirement planning. In the 26 plus years that I've been in the business, I worked with many people who have made some serious mistakes with their money and their retirement. I can still picture the regret that they had and all the fear they had when they come into our office, Chad. But I've also worked with many other people and many other retirees who've done a great job with their money and setting themselves up for the retirement that they've always dreamed of. And you know, the main difference between these two people is the ones that were successful in retirement had a plan. They took the time to think about the future that they wanted and to build a cohesive game plan with all of their investments that work cohesively together to accomplish their goals. And it isn't a plan that you just create quickly. It needs to be a plan that puts into many considerations into factor. One that a retirement firm or retirement specialist can help you build for your financial future. But before we show you how to build that, we want to discuss some obstacles that we often see when it comes to planning for retirement.
Yeah, and I think when you talk about building a plan, you know, this is something that is very, very difficult to do alone, and you have to really have that specialist, have that retirement planning firm that can be that quarterback for you to guide you every step of the way. So, you know, building that plan is so important, and working with that specialist is probably the most important part of that, and just starting and making sure you start somewhere to have that plan.
You know, Chad, if you look at the big picture and you think about, I'm going to work for 30 to 40 years, I'm going to pump money in this 401k, I really don't have to do anything, kind of manages itself. I just pick out a few funds here and there, change it every few years, and that's it. And then all of a sudden when you retire, it's like, I got to take this money that I've been putting into for 30, 40 years. It's been pretty easy, and now I got to manage this and make sure it lasts throughout the rest of my life. So it can be a very daunting task. But it's kind of the old saying, Chad, how do you eat elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you have to start somewhere. But the problem is, when we talk about this, is a lot of people get what's called decision paralysis. Decision paralysis is finding from psychology that says that more choices we have, the more likely we are to freeze up and go with the path of least resistance. So many times people get overwhelmed with so many so-called experts out there, whether it be on the TV, whether it be on the radio with the Instagram and the Facebook today, and the different methods of what to do and what not to do. You get all this conflicting information and you do not know which ones to choose. So what do? What happens? You get decision paralysis and do absolutely nothing, Chad. And doing nothing is absolutely the wrong thing to do.
You know, but it's the easiest thing to do, you know, and procrastination. So this decision paralysis, I mean, we see it so often, but I think, you know, the one thing that we see is getting people to come in the office is probably the hardest thing in their shoes, in their situation. But once they take that first step, it's that action step. It's just the step to kind of get going. And then they realize, holy cow, you know, it becomes a lot easier once you just take that first step. You get out of that decision paralysis and you start working with a specialist to build a game plan.
And what's the one thing, Chad, we hear from our clients all the time? Once they come in, once they face that fear and they set it up, what do they tell you?
You know, we wish we would have done this 5 years ago.
Wish I would have met you 5 to 10 years ago. Absolutely right. So the next obstacle we often see is referred to as financial insanity. And insanity, of course, according to Albert Einstein, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. The financial insanity is the same thing, investing the same way or doing the same things with your investments, with your hard-earned dollars, over and over, staying in the same investments and expecting the same outcome. And you can't do that because markets go up, markets go down. But also, Chad, the biggest thing we see with a lot of retirees is you get closer to retirement, you have to change your mindset.
Well, and your mindset, what we also see is your mindset is changing. You look at your nest egg, the money that you've built 30, 40 years to accumulate, now all of a sudden you look at that and your mindset's different when you look at it versus when you were 40 or 50 years of age. You looked at that nest egg, you were building, you were growing, the market dropped, and you had time to make up those losses. So I think it's really important to understand the two different phases of your life. When you're working, you're in that accumulation phase where it is grow at all costs. Once you retire, you're getting close to retirement. You're entering that preservation phase, and the biggest, most important thing to do is also adjust and change your investments that fit that preservation phase.
And as we mentioned earlier, Chad, having that fear, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to turn, that's probably one of the final obstacles I want to talk about is who to turn to. A lot of people, unfortunately, they don't know who to turn to. If your 401k, your company plans at work, you may have somebody that comes and talks to you and your company every 6 months, or you can call somebody on their phone or get on a computer. But when it comes to retirement, you want to sit down with somebody face to face, eye to eye, that you can communicate with, that's going to lead you, that's going to give you that blueprint to get you successfully to and through retirement. And people come into our office, as you mentioned, all the time, working with that accumulation specialist and don't know if it's the right stage for them. It's about, hey, I have these investments, it's grow at all costs, it's about building that wealth. But once you get to the point where you can start thinking about retirement, when you get 3 to 5 years out and you finally have that nest egg to be able to retire, now it's about taking that money that it's taken you 30 to 40 years to grow, and now it's about moving from that accumulation mindset to that preservation mindset, and you have to have that specialist. It's no longer about that growth specialist. Now it's about having that retirement specialist, some advisors that work with people just like you each and every day.
Well, and I think, to keep it pretty simple, my mom's getting ready to go through a major surgery, having hip replacement surgery, and her general practitioner doctor is not the one
right.
performing this surgery. So, there was a lot of prep work, a lot of appointments, and now that she's going to that specialist that hopefully does about 5 hip replacement surgeries, whether it's every day or every week. And
right.
those are the specialists that I want her to be doing the operation, not somebody that does a hip replacement maybe once a month. So I think,
right.
The importance of finding a specialist, whether it's your health or whether it's your retirement, is so important today.
So speaking of finding that specialist and why, retirement planning is so important, to download our free white paper today about what to do when you have reached the retirement summit, visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. Coming up on Chalk Talk, we're going to show you how to use our financial GPS, our guided planning system, to help get you successfully to and through retirement. We'll be right back. Let's go.
He's such an involved dad. He's always telling the kids stories. I remember when so-and-so said I couldn't do this or I didn't make this team. That's what drives him. In our family, we always tell our kids to stick up for each other, stand behind one another. He feels it's his role to provide, keep us safe, and to make sure that the kids are taken care of. A lot of Chad's clients have the same traditional values, and he bonds with them. Each family has a different set of circumstances, and each family is unique and different. The common thread between all of Chad's clients is that they want the best for their family, just as he would our own family.
Welcome back into the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. So we just discussed some obstacles to overcome when it comes to retirement planning. Now we want to show you how to overcome those obstacles by using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. Planning for retirement is a multiple step process that will, it'll of course evolve over time. To have a comfortable, secure, and enjoyable retirement, you need to build the financial cushion that will fund it all. You need to know, of course, where you are now and start thinking about where you want to go. What are your goals in retirement? Maybe you want to take your family and grandchildren on a trip every year to that big destination like Disney World. Or maybe you want to buy that second home in Florida or Arizona. Or maybe you want to golf at all the nicest courses around the world or around the country. Whatever it is, you have to have a plan. And we understand that thinking about a plan can be overwhelming. And that's okay. And that's why it's so important to work with, as Chad mentioned, a retirement specialist who can help you throughout your long retirement journey. one that can help you build the proper plan to get you successfully, of course, not only to retirement, Chad, but make sure that you get through retirement as well.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I mean, this is you. This is your life. This is your retirement. And you only really get one chance, to plan for your retirement. And I think, just building a plan, just any plan, isn't the right answer. Building your plan is the right answer. So, understanding, all you got to do is take action to start building your plan.
I think that's the key, Chad. You're 65, here's a plan. That's not the way to do it. It's not cookie cutter. It all depends on you and what you want to accomplish in retirement. So let's jump in and discuss how to start building a plan. Of course, is by using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. Number one thing you have to do, first of all, is you need to clarify. The first step is to create clarity. For example, when you get in your car today and you're not quite sure how to get somewhere, what do? The first thing we do is you get out your GPS, you get out your phone or on your car, and you put in where you are now and where you want to go. And it tells you step by step how to get there. For those of you who have decision paralysis or unsure where to start, who don't really know what to do, the GPS in your car makes it easy. That's how your plan or system should work when we clarify where you are now and where you want to go when it comes to your retirement planning. You have to think about, Chad, what are your income needs? What are your lifestyle goals? What are your family dynamics? You have to take all this into consideration and understand where you are now first before you can understand how to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, and I think, if you're thinking about building a house and there's already a house on that foundation, you're probably going to kind of take that house down and start building your new house from the ground up. And so, when we talk about creating clarity, we have to understand that you can't build a financial house on somebody else's foundation. So, this is so important. It's about taking that first step, really understanding where you are now and addressing the areas that need to be improved.
And then once you have that, the second step is to analyze your current plan and investments. Here, of course, will help you determine how much risk you're currently taking in your portfolio, and we will also analyze how much you're paying in fees on your current accounts. And many times, Chad, we see people taking on way too much risk in retirement or as they get closer to retirement. And this is a thing, that we talk about diversification. Diversification to me is a generic word that a lot of advisors use, and people hear it and they think, oh, I'm all set up, I'm diversified. But you need to understand what that really means. And you really need to take a look at and understand how much risk are you taking. In other words, if this market has another 30 to 40% correction in just a couple of weeks like it did back in March, the way your portfolio is set up right now, how much would you lose? So that's why the analysis is so important to have done on your portfolio today.
Yeah, and I think this is a lot of times one of the most eye-opening areas of the GPS process, because what it is, it's allowing us and you to understand your investments, the risk you're taking, the fees you're paying on your investments, the income that portfolio is generating. So when a lot of times people are taking on a lot more risk than they're comfortable with, they're paying too much, a lot more fees than they really even realized, and the portfolio is not generating near enough income, this is all areas that we need to help improve on. So, I think what we uncover is things that people don't ever see, maybe some extra fees that are being charged or taking on too much risk. And this allows us to kind of understand exactly how much you're comfortable in taking on risk and how much income and fees are coming out of the portfolio.
And you owe it to yourself and your family, Chad, to take that due diligence, do your homework, dig in. It's uncomfortable, but sometimes in order to get to a better place, you have to make yourself uncomfortable, just like with anything else. Number 3 is evaluate. Here we will evaluate and see if there are areas that we can help you with your plan. You may have some very good investment vehicles inside your portfolio that you should keep, and we'll let you know, hey, they're good, you need to keep them. But there also may be some areas where we can help you better, maybe by reducing risk, reducing some of those fees. And one of the most important that you want to make sure that we do a lot, Chad, is make sure that we will help you create that written retirement income plan. So when you retire, you know that you're going to have an income stream coming in each and every month for the rest of your life and the rest of your spouse's life. And if you decide to walk out on life early, if something, God forbid, happens, you want to make sure those assets are passed on to your children and your grandchildren in the most tax-efficient manner.
Yeah, and I think it's important because, number one, this step, you have to be coming into it with an open mind. And because retirement planning, there's so much more involved in retirement planning than really there was when you were in that accumulation phase and just trying to build and grow this wealth. So as Chad mentioned, you've got to be open. we got to look ahead in 5, 10, 15 years and for safe money for income planning purposes, making sure that income is going to be that family pension for you. So it's going to come in forever. The other thing is, looking at the environment we're in with low interest rates and volatility in the markets, making sure you're protecting yourself and your family, whether it's your investments or whether it's your legacy or your health. So we've got to take a lot of different steps to kind of create this retirement plan for you.
And then once you have that, the final step is to implement. Get that car rolling down the road, push the accelerator. It's time to start following that GPS and get to where you want to go. And we call that implementing, of course. So once we've created clarity, analyzed the risk and fees in your portfolio, evaluated your current plan and made some recommendations, now we will implement a new plan of action to get you on that right path, to get you, of course, not only to retirement, but to make sure you get successfully through retirement. Of course, Chad, you want to make sure that you are working with someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel is a good guide for you, that you have a good relationship with, that you trust, because this person that you hire, or this firm that you hire, their goal should be to be the last advisor that you will ever need. They're here for the next 20 to 30 years to get you through retirement, hopefully there to help your beneficiaries as well when that time does come.
Yeah, and I think, this is a plan that, we talked earlier, taking action is number one. Going through this GPS process allows you to understand areas to improve, but most importantly, once this plan is set up, to be able to monitor, to be able to review annually or more than that, and be able to make changes as life happens, and being able to kind of check the boxes to make sure you feel comfortable. If we go through another major downturn like we did earlier this year, or if the markets stay volatile, you need to know exactly how your portfolio is going to react.
Absolutely. And speaking of reaction, to download our free white paper today about what to do once you have reached the Retirement Summit, visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. We come back on our strategy play. We're going to dive in and discuss how we use our financial GPS to help our clients successfully not only get them to, but also to get them through retirement. We'll be right back. The number one concern of retirees today is outliving their hard-earned dollars. It is more important now than ever to educate and empower yourself to make better decisions with your monies that it has taken you 30 to 40 years to accumulate. How do you do this? By using our financial GPS, our guided planning system. This is a 4-step process to help get you successfully to and through retirement. The first step in this process is to create clarity. Here we will help identify your goals as well as your concerns and identify what you want to accomplish in retirement. The second step, we will analyze the risk you're taking with your current portfolio, and this step will also identify exactly what you are paying in fees. In the third step, we will evaluate and assess your current plan and help identify the gap between the missing pieces. And in the fourth and final step, this is where we will work together to implement a plan of action to accomplish your retirement goals. And this process can take place at any one of our convenient locations in Missouri, at our Creve Coeur and Sunset Hills offices, or in Illinois at our Edwardsville, Springfield, and Jacksonville locations. So call now to get set up on the right path on your journey through retirement. Welcome back to the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. On this week's strategy play, we're going to discuss how we use our financial GPS to help our clients get successfully to and through retirement. And Chad, when we talk about our GPS system, there's an old way of doing things and there's a new way of doing things. And when I think about the story that I told earlier about my dad using a map and my mom trying to read it, I mean, have you ever looked at a map today? How confusing a map would be, and how easy it is now when you get in your car, you get on your phone, or you pull up your GPS in your car, and it tells you turn by turn, it talks to you, it shows you everything, it just makes it so easy today. And when you think about that, think about retirement planning and financial planning. It should not be a confusing thing if you have a system that tells you turn by turn, step by step, how to get there.
Well, I remember, even 15 years ago going around and still driving to clients' houses, helping them with certain things, and living out in the country not knowing. I had one of these maps in the car with me at all times, and it was very confusing. But it also, when it comes to retirement planning, a lot of people still feel like this. They've got statements all over the place. They just don't know where to start. And as we talked about earlier, the most important thing to do is not have the decision paralysis, is take that first step to start building the plan and find a specialist to help you.
Momentum, action, you have to start somewhere. And that's, again, folks, we talk about our GPS system here at our firm, Schlegel Financial, that we have. There's 4 main steps. Number 1, you have to create clarity. Understand where you are now and where you want to go, just like your GPS system in your car. Number 2, you really need to analyze, the risk and the fees you're paying on your accounts, especially as you get closer to retirement. And number 3, have that evaluation done on your portfolio where it takes a look at where you are now, where you should be, takes a look at the good things you have, but also takes a look at how you can reposition the bad things that you have in your portfolio. And as Chad mentioned, the last thing you want to do is start building your financial house that's going to get you successfully to and through retirement on a broken foundation. Of course, number 4, Chad, have that forward-looking analysis. Not only where you are now, but where you want to be 20, 30, 40 years from now and how you're going to get there.
Yeah, and I think, as you're getting to retirement, you've got a lot of things going on. You've got the family, the kids, but also once you're now in retirement, you need that blueprint. You need a game plan that from 60 to 100 how that life is going to look like in retirement and what you're going to be allowed to do when it comes to your hard-earned dollars.
To get more detailed information on these strategies and how they can work for you, call us now to schedule your 5-point inspection at 888-294-9248 or email us at info@schlegelfinancial.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back with some of the key takeaways from today. Welcome back to the Chad Schlegel Show, coaching you to and through retirement. We've covered a lot today, so let's jump in and talk about some of the key takeaways to remember from today's show. Number 1, understand why so many pre-retirees and retirees are lost when it comes to building a game plan for their retirement and why you don't have to be. Number 2, know the obstacles to overcome when it comes to thinking about retirement and retirement planning. And number 3, Chad, take yourself through a financial GPS process so that you are prepared for today's retirement, whether it's today, whether it's tomorrow, or 3 years from now.
Well, and I think I look back to when I'm not prepared or I'm getting ready to go into a situation that I don't feel comfortable, you have that anxiety. You just don't really know what to do, and a lot of bad thoughts go through your mind. But going through and having a process or a GPS in place, you go into a situation, you're very comfortable, you feel much better. So having that GPS in place is so important.
Step by step is so important today. To download our free white paper today about what to do when you have reached the retirement summit, visit www.schlegelfinancial.com/empoweryou. And as I mentioned earlier, we're going through some unprecedented times right now, of course, with the global pandemic, the historic market crash, to government-mandated stay-at-home, wear your mask. No one would have envisioned a time quite like this. If you are retired or plan to retire in the next 3 to 5 years, you will not want to miss our upcoming events that are designed to empower you to take control of your financial future. Remember, folks, success is waking up in the morning, whoever you are, wherever you are, no matter how old or young you are, and bounding out of bed because there's something out there that you love to do, that you believe in, that you're good at, and you can hardly wait to get at it again today. At Schlegel Financial, realize that this is bigger than our team. It's about educating you, the public, and our wonderful clients, and empowering you to make better decisions with your hard-earned dollars. For my colleague Chad Tobin, this is the coach, Chad Schlegel. Thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to visiting with each and every one of you next week.